Hey y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have a look at a selection of the Kawaii collection available right now from Cirque Colors. These polishes were sent to me for review and they are available right now. I'll link her storefront and social media down below. For today's swatches, I'll be using the Hold Fast Base Coat from Cirque Colors. This was sent to me for review as well. I did find that this dries down fairly quickly to a nice glossy finish. I cannot speak to wear time today, but it did do a great job at protecting the nails. I'll also be using the Liquid Laminate Top Coat. This was also sent to me for review. This is a quick dry top coat and it dried down to a nice glossy finish. So first up is Killer Kitsch, and this is described as a hot pink holographic polish. So this does have a very almost red jelly type base with a super strong pink shimmer that keeps this one very bright on the nail. I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot and then I'll show you how Killer Kitsch swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. Cirque Colors does have a thinner brush, but it is also thick, if that makes sense. It's thinner in width, but thicker in like the bristle count. So here is a look at that first coat. It did go on quite pigmented here. I do just have a tiny flash of nail line. I'll go ahead and let that dry and then show you how it built up for me with a second coat. So I do think this is a really strong two-coat formula. Even if you like to go in a little bit thinner, this one is very pigmented. It also has that really strong shimmer that translates super well to the nail. So here's a look at that completed mani. At two coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. This one does dry down quite glossy. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat, and this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is Omen, and this is a limited edition polish from the Kawaii collection. This is described as a turquoise blue holographic with a flash of gold. So this one does have a very strong gold shimmer running throughout. It really brightens this up on the nail. It translates really well too. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot and then I'll show you how Omen swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. I did go in a little bit thicker with this one. If you want to do thin application, I think that's totally okay too. One coat made for a nice base of coverage. You can still see here, even on the camera, that I did have a little flash of nail line left there, so I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. So here's a quick look at that second coat. I did go in for just a nice normal coat and it did bring this polish to full opacity. I think that even if you work in thinner coats, this one is another strong two-coat formula. So here's a look at that completed mani at two coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with that glossy top coat. And then this is my final swatch photo at an angle again in that direct sunlight. So next up is a Vapor Wave, and I see this one being a big fan favorite. This is described as a cornflower blue holographic with a flash of pink. So this has that very beautiful red or pink shimmer running throughout that blue base. Super gorgeous and also looks just like it does in the bottle on the nail. So here's a quick look at that brush shot, and then I'll show you how Vapor Wave swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. This one does go on super smooth, really easy. It was a little bit on the sheer side. I did end up doing a little bit thicker of a first coat here, but it did make a nice flush of color, a good base for sure. I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up for me with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I did go in a little bit thicker for the second coat on this one as well. It did bring this one completely opaque though. You can see there that shimmer is super gorgeous. I didn't have a huge problem with the brush strokes, but I did just be a little bit mindful here. They did kind of mellow out all on their own though. Here's a look at that completed mani at two coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with that glossy top coat, and this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is Happy Monday, and this is another limited edition polish from this collection. This is described as a violet holographic with a flash of teal. So again, that beautiful teal shimmer runs throughout. It is very strong. This collection is totally giving me indie vibes, and I love it. So here's a quick look at that brush shot, and then I'll show you how Happy Monday swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. Again, really smooth, really kind of seamless application. This is not one that you're going to have to fight at all. It just goes exactly where you put it. I didn't have any issues with pooling or being too thick or too thin. I did kind of make sure that I capped the nail before the last coat, even though those brush strokes that go on when applying mellow out on their own, I didn't want to test that at all. So here's a look at that second coat. This does bring this one completely opaque. I love that indoors you get a lot of that kind of super strong shimmer, and then outdoors all of that hollow really takes the spotlight. So here's a look at that completed mani at two coats before a glossy top coat. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next I'm going to move on to the metallics. So first up is shiny, and this is described as a silver foil holographic made with their unique sterling silver pigment. You guys, it doesn't matter how many silvers you have in your collection, I do not have anything like this. I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot, and then I'll show you how shiny applied on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. These do start out a little bit sheer. They're not gritty at all. They are made of those tiny flakes that lay nice and flush, plus there is a ton of holographic going on in here. These are, however, very buildable with one thicker coat. This is like pretty much completely opaque. I am going to go ahead and show you what a second coat looks like. I did go ahead and do a second coat for all of my swatches today, but this one is really close to being a one coater. I'm also really intrigued to see how these may stamp because those flakes are so tiny. I think they would work really well. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. These do dry down a little bit dull. Even though it's super shiny here, it does definitely benefit from a nice glossy top coat. That's my view from another angle in direct sunlight, and this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that same direct sunlight. So next up is 24 Karat Affair, and this is that same beautiful foiled holographic finish, but in a different color of metallic. So this is described as a gold foil holographic made with their unique sterling silver pigment. So again, super small, fine flakes here with a lot of holographic going on. I did have a little bit of separation in my bottle, but I just shook it up, no problems at all. So I'll show you how 24 Karat Affair swatched in my first coat on my natural nail. This one is very yellow heavy, very beautiful on the nail, though it reminds me of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I'm just head over heels in love with these metallics. So one coat really close to being completely opaque. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it built up for me with a second coat. So here's a quick look at that second coat. You don't have to go really thick with these. They do kind of build up all on their own with no issues. 2 coats for sure brings this one completely opaque. Again, it is going to be a little bit dull. I do definitely recommend putting a nice glossy top coat over this. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before the glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So lastly today I have Himalayan Pink, and this is not a part of the Kawaii collection, but it does go really well with these metallics. This is described as a rose gold foil holographic made with their unique sterling silver pigment. So same formula as 24 Karat Affair and the silver, but in a beautiful rose gold coppery finish. If I could pick a favorite of this collection, like you seriously couldn't make me, but this is definitely one of the front runners. Here's a look at my first easy coat. Again, this one does go on nice and pigmented, very buildable, really close to being completely opaque in one coat, but I did have maybe a tiny flash of nail line going around the edges, especially with my application. So I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. Here's a look at that second coat, just a nice normal second coat here does bring this one to full opacity, no issues. Again, it does dry down a little bit dull, so I do recommend that nice glossy top coat to help finish it out. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. This polish is seriously beautiful underneath all different lighting sources. This is a look at an angle with a glossy top coat in direct sunlight with all that hollow popping through. And this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So that does wrap up my swatch and review of this selection of the Kawaii collection. A big, huge thank you to Cirque for sending these out to me. I will leave the storefront where they are directly available down below. If you'd like to see more photos, I do have those available on my blog at sloppyswatches.com, or you can also follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.